Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Amy and I teach live online lessons and courses. This is the review of our English Stars lesson, and in English Stars we have been reading this book, The Giant's Necklace by Michael Morpurgo, and this is the review of lessons 4 and 5. Let's go. So it's always a bit of fun to start off with. This picture has got some hidden words, and we started off the lesson by trying to find the hidden words. You can pause the video and see if you can find them. If you've been following the lessons, you'll know that we are reading Michael Morpurgo's The Giant's Necklace. The children have been really enjoying it so far, and we've got to the point in the story where Cherry had been washed away by the incoming tide, and now she's been washed up on the beach. I presented the children with a thought bubble, and I asked them to think of some thoughts that she might have in her head as she comes round lying on the beach. We then continued to read the story, and we saw Cherry climbing a cliff face. As Cherry climbs the cliff face, this is a really descriptive passage that warranted a bit of pausing. So we took part in a little activity of scanning. So the children had to scan the text to see if they could find the following: a short sentence, a synonym for disappear, a synonym for try, the letter Z, a word that begins and ends with the same letter. Obviously, we discussed and we talked about the meanings of what a synonym is. We talked about the word with the letter Z in, maybe why it had a letter Z, was that common? It was a nice little discussion. And also the children were really good. They managed to find a couple of words that began and ended with the same letter. All the time, we were practicing our retrieval skills by scanning the text really carefully. Then we hit quite a pivotal moment where Cherry decides she's going to lay down her cowrie shells and she's not going to carry them anymore. And she puts them on a ledge as she climbs up the cliff, and she says that she'll come back for them. Meanwhile, the family back home, and we know about Cherry's family already because we've learned about them earlier on in the text. We know that she's got lots of brothers. We are thinking about what is going on in their heads. What are they thinking about Cherry? So we spent a part of the lesson doing a missing person poster. We used the lovely vocabulary to describe Cherry's personality that we developed from reading earlier on in the text. So the children were able to flick back through their notebooks to find that information and use it. So it was a good way to remind ourselves about Cherry's personality. This is the kind of poster that could be put out maybe by the Coast Guard or by the Cornish Police. We took a little break and we played a little memory game with the vocabulary from earlier on in the week. And we had a go of matching it up with synonyms. And we thought a little bit about the Cornish history. And we talked about what these buildings might be. And with a little bit of support, we figured out that they were some kind of mine. And in Cornwall, there was a lot of tin mining. And if you are lucky enough to walk along the Cornish coastal path, you will see lots of relics of the tin mines. Here we've got a picture from yesteryear, and then this is what it looks like today. This is actually Zennor in Cornwall, where the book is set. Using these two photos, the children commented that it was quite easy to imagine Cherry kind of climbing up this cliff face here. And also the danger that she was in from the sea. From the children's research on tin mines, some children found out that there were lots of tunnels or adits, which were horizontal, kind of like tunnels really, that went through horizontally from the cliff edge or the outer wall all the way into the center. And these were used either for access or for drainage as well. And as we read on, we got to the point in the story where Cherry had found one of these. And this is how they look now, kind of all boarded up. But the one that Cherry found was open. Okay, so we paused and we hovered at this photo, and I gave the children a guided daydream. So this is when you imagine that you're in a place. I guided the children to look all around them and to use their senses to explore this little kind of mini setting. And the children had to write one short sentence, and then one longer sentence about what they could see. And if they weren't sure, then we gave some hints here. So they could write about the darkness. We could write about the feelings under your knees, maybe the smell, what does it smell like in there, and the mood or the atmosphere. The participants in the group, they wrote some really nice ideas in their notebooks, on the screen, and also in the chat as well. Really good stuff. I quite like the idea of doing a short sentence and then a longer sentence, because a lot of children were naturally expanding their shorter sentence to make it better, so quite self-directed. And we read on, and here you can see the adit, or the tunnel that goes horizontally from the cliff face, and here's Cherry making her way along. We predicted where she might be going. We predicted what she might be hearing, and we predicted what might happen next. Some people in the group thought that we were going to meet somebody, and they were right. And through the conversation, we developed this idea that it didn't seem that it was current day, and there were hints, and there was evidence in the text. Can you see any evidence that these two miners may not be from the current time? A little grammar activity came next, and we used inverted commas or speech marks, or 66 and 99, to have a go of writing some sentences. And I wanted the children to think about what Cherry might say aloud in this situation. And the children were challenged with giving a question sentence, an exclamation sentence, and a command sentence, and getting their inverted commas and punctuation all in the right place. And Cherry hears about the story of the disaster in the mine. It was very common, and it still is very common, that mines do have accidents. And there was, I think, really in history, a disaster that unfolded at this mine in Zenoa. And that features in the story involving these miners. Cherry is led out of the mine by one of the miners, and then she makes her way back to her cottage to be reunited, or so she thinks, with her family. Now, there is a twist at the end of this story. I don't really want to reveal it because you might read the book yourself, but if you do read it and you do find out what the twist at the end is, if you go back, you can see that there are hints telling the reader. The author is very clever how he hints about this twist earlier on that you don't always spot. And I've read this a few times now, and each time I find a few new things that hint towards this tragic twist at the end of the story. So I don't want to reveal it, but if you do have a read of the story, please let me know in the comments what you think about it. Well done to all the children who took part in this series of lessons about the Giant's Necklace. It was wonderful to see your confidence especially just skyrocket from being completely quiet with your cameras off to reading the story at the end. So yeah, really well done, lovely. Some really insightful pieces of writing and some really insightful ideas. Yeah, it was great. A lot of love. Well done, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to join the English Stars live Zoom classes, please copy and paste the link that's in the description below into your browser, and it will take you to the sign up page. The lessons are every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, and it would be great to see you there.